Hello guys, and welcome to another HTML and CSS project tutorial. Today I'm going to teach you how to use CSS keyframes to create cool animations on your websites. So you see this rotation animation on the right, and on refresh you will see some cool fading with the main contents or the text content as well. Okay, so in this video you are going to learn how to use CSS keyframes to create cool animations on your website, and you're also going to learn how to use CSS transitions to smoothen the different states of your element. So you see this hover effect, this smooth shadows the button gives. You use CSS transitions to smoothen the effects. So this is a very simple CSS and HTML tutorial for beginner developers. All right, so let's get started. To start off, I have three files. Okay, I have the HTML file, the index.html file. I have my style sheet, which is style.css, and then I have this image, okay, which is going to be the rotation, the food rotating on the page. And I'm going to link my style sheet. All right, so let's first start with our navbar. Okay, so we start our navbar first, and then we head on to styling and animating our content, text contents, and then we head on to animate the background as well. All right, so for the navbar, we'll have nav, and it is going to have a container, and then we'll have our logo, which is going to be a simple H1 foodie. And our navigation items, our nav elements, UL, li, which are going to have links. They will be going nowhere. We have home, about us, and then book now. All right, so that's all for our navigation. Okay, the markup for our navigation. Let's open this in live server. All right, you just click go live, and it's going to open your project in your default browser. Let's head on to styling or nav. But first, I'm going to have some root variables. Okay, I'm going to have some root variables, global variables. So I have my primary color, which is a gradient, a linear gradient, negative 20 degrees linear gradient. I have my light text, which is going to be this light background. I have my dark, which is going to be this almost black background. I have my box shadow, which is going to be the box shadow for this plate and the tray, and I'm also going to have a separate box shadow for the buttons. All right, so those are the variables. Now let me zero out everything. So for margin, it's going to be 0, and the pattern is going to be 0. Let's set the box size into border box. All right, so the body is going to be, let me first start the body. Body is going to have a background of the primary. It's going to have a primary background, which is the variable we set up top. Okay, so this is the primary variable. Okay, the primary background color, and then we are going to set overflow to hidden. Width is going to be 100 viewport width. Okay, 100 viewport width. Height is going to be 100 viewport height. Position is going to be relative. Oh, come on. Font family, we are going to use Montserrat. I have it in my system. Okay, you can use Arial, or you can use any font. And then let's set user select to none. This is actually not necessary. All right, so that's for the body. Now let's move on to the actual navigation. For the navigation, I'm going to style the links first. So the links are going to have color of dark, the dark color. Text decoration is going to be none. For the underlines, then font family. Font, let's set the font size to 0.9 rem, making them a little smaller. And then let's set the font weight to 500 medium. Okay, so that's for the links. Let's set list style to none as well for the LIs. Okay, the LIs actually have some bullets, but you can see them. Let's move on to the navigation, the actual navigation, the nav element. So the nav element is going to have a width of 100%, a z index of 1, so that it can be exactly on top of everything on the page. Fixed. Let's give it a pattern of 2 top and bottom, 2 rem top and bottom, and then 0 left and right. Okay, so that's what we have. Now let's move on to the nav container. You see, we gave a class of container here. Okay, so let's target that nav container, and that is going to have a rate of 90%. Sorry for the mistakes, guys. Margin of 0 auto, so that it can be exactly in the middle. Okay, so that's all we have for the nav container. Now let's target the nav UL. Okay, the UL is going to be displayed flex, and then I'm going to give it a gap of 4 rem for space between the elements. Now you see how the last element is a button. That is what we are going to do with this as well. So with that, we are going to select the last child of the UL. So this is the UL, and we have LIs in it. So we are going to select the last child of these LIs, and then we are going to style the A, the link in it. Okay, so we say nav, and then UL LI, we select the last, and then the link in it. So for that, we are going to give it a background, and then let's give it a pattern of 2 rem, sorry, pattern of 0.7 rem, 2 rem. Okay, so 0.7 top and bottom, and then 2 rem left and right for the pattern. Okay, and that's all we have. Let's give it a border radius of 2 rem. And now we are going to use CSS transition to transition this, okay, to smoothen the hover effect. Okay, you see how sharp it is. We are going to use CSS transition to smoothen it. All 300 milliseconds, and the ease. You can use ease out, ease in, ease out. We have ease out, ease in, and all that. You can use any of them. All right. So now it's a little smoother. Okay, so now we are done with the nav. Okay, we are done with the navigation. Okay, so for the content, we are going to have a class of content. Okay, and that is that is also going to have a container, and then we are going to have our h1. And then we are going to have our button, our call to action button, order now. Okay, so that is all for our contents. Let's head on to styling it. All right, so that's what we have, and then we give it an opacity of 0 for the start. We are going to animate it in. Okay, we are going to do this cool fading effect with keyframes, CSS keyframes. All right, so that is what we are going to do. That is why we have the initial opacity, so that after a set duration we are going to make the opacity 1. Okay, so it's going to animate from 0 to 1. All right, so to do that we are going to use CSS keyframes. So keyframes, okay, keyframes, and then the name of the animation. So it's going to be animate content, have an opacity of 1. Okay, so it's going from 0 opacity or opacity to 1 opacity. Okay, so from 0 to 1. So there's the animation we are going to use. Now let's link that animation to the element we want to animate. So animation, the name of the animation, we give it a name of content, animate content. So animate content, and then the duration, how long we want this to animate. So we are going to do 3 seconds, let's say 2 seconds. And then the animation timing function, we are going to use ease, we are going to do ease, and then forwards. Okay, so forwards is going to make the animation stay as it is at the end. Okay, if we remove this forwards, you see that it's going to be gone at the end. Okay, so forwards will make it stay at the end. So that's how you use keyframes for fading effects. Okay, actually let me make this 3 seconds, and then let me put a delay on it. Let's delay this with 2 seconds. Okay, so it takes 2 seconds before this animation kicks in, but right now I don't want the delay, so I'm just going to do, let me actually make the delay 1 second, and then let me animate this 2 seconds. All right, so that's it. So margin left is going to be 5 rem, and then let's set the color, should be light, and then let's give it a fixed width of 36 rem. Okay, so that is what we have. And this is not going to be responsive. Okay, our main focus is the animation. All right, now let's style the paragraph. Let's give it a background of light. Padding 1.2 rem, top and bottom, 3 rem left and right. Font weight of 500. Let's display inline block. Margin top, let's give it a margin top of 1.8 rem. And then a border radius of 2 rem. Nope. Content A. Okay. All right. Now we are going to transition this as well. Okay. For the hover effect. All right. We have this cool hover effect. Okay, so we are done with the main content. We are done with this side. Now let's move on to the main animation. I'm going to have a div with a class of tray, and that is going to be this, the bigger circle. Okay, that is going to be the tray, and I'm going to have another div with a class of plate. Okay, and that is going to be this plate. All right, and that plate is going to have another div inside it with a class of food, and that is what is going to have the image. So that's all for the background animation. For the tray, we are going to give it a width of 70 rem. Box shadow of box shadow, the box shadow variable. And then let's position it absolute. Move it from the top 50%, from the right negative 20 rem. Let's give it a transition. Let's give it a translate. So transform. And then we translate it on the y-axis. Okay, negative 50%. All right, so we have this. Now, right. Okay, yeah, so we have this. Now we are going to set this opacity to 0 as well. So it's going to fade in as the right content. Okay, as this content. We are going to apply a similar animation to it. Okay, so for that, keyframes, animate tray, and then it's going to go to an opacity of 1. Okay, all right, so animate tray, 3 seconds. Let's do 1 second. Is forwards. We can do 5 seconds. Let's do 2. 2 is good. So that's for the tray. Okay, now let's move on to the plate. Okay, so we have the tray, and then after that we have the plate. Okay, so let's move on to that. So plate is going to have a position of absolute. Let's give it a top. Let's push it from the top 15%, and then from the right 5%. Let's give it a width of 38 rem and a height of 38 rem as well. Background, let's give it a light background, and then border radius 50%. And then now let's give it a box shadow. Let's give it that variable box shadow. Now let's set the plate animation. So keyframes, animate plate, and that is going to go in, and that is going to rotate. So we say transform, rotate, then it's going to go 360 degrees. Okay, now we've set the animation. Let's link it to the elements. So animation, animate plate, 30 seconds. Okay, let's do 5 seconds so that you see what's going on. So 5 seconds is going to be linear, and then forwards. Okay, you see that it stopped. Okay, it animated, it went round in 5 seconds and it stopped. Okay, now we want it to continue animating, so it's going to be infinite or infinite. Okay, and now it doesn't stop. All right, so let me position this food well. Okay, so plate and then food. You see inside the plate we have a div with a class of food, and that's what contains the image. So let's give it a width of 26 rem, the height of 26 rem as well, and then let's position it absolute and push it. Let's push it from the top 53%, and then from the left 47%. Okay, that's not too bad. Let's translate it. Let's translate it. So transform and then translate, negative 50%, negative 50%, and then the border radius to 50%. Okay, and we have this, no problems. Now let's resize the image. Let's give it a width of 100 so that it fits the food div. Okay, the food container. So 100%, and then we have it. Okay, the plate is moving too fast, so we are going to change the duration to 30 seconds. Okay, so it's going to delay for 3 seconds and then it will start moving, but now slower. So it's going to take 30 seconds for it to go one full cycle. Okay, all right, so that is all for the tutorial. You see this comes in. Let's refresh and see what we created. This main section comes in, and then this starts animating after 3 seconds delay. Okay, so that is all for this CSS keyframes animation tutorial. Please like, subscribe for more videos like this, and you can check out the HTML and CSS playlist for more content just like this one. All right, leave a comment of any project you want to see on this channel, and also share this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.